Anarchy Outdoors is one of my favorite websites because just about everything precision related, the kind of stuff that I do, or even much more advanced shooters, people who are definitely competing on another level, they can get good stuff there. And Short Action Precision is one of the companies that I value a lot. The products that they make help with consistency. And so again, I go to Anarchy Outdoors for all that. I will have links down below as long as YouTube lets me. This right here, well, first of all, thank you, Trenton, for this magazine chamber block indicator, whatever. I have times where there might be a stage, kind of like what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to shoot off this rickety pole. It is legitimately rickety. It's not stable. And I need to find every bit of consistency that I can and stability that I can in my form and the function of my tools. And I used to have an issue, a very regular issue. I don't know why it took me so long to piece it together, that it was frustrating and it was costing me time in 22 precision matches or NRL 22 in the early days. I was always putting magazines, CZ457 magazines, in one pocket or another. They're small, they're easy to place around. The problem is they're also easy to lose. So if I was wearing a pair of like more tactical combat kind of pants or competition outdoors pants, they have all these pockets. The problem would be from stage to stage, it would be in such a rush. I'd be training a newbie or something, and I was putting magazines in different pockets like every time. Then winter comes or weather changes, and I'm putting them in pockets of my coats. And I was not having consistent places to put magazines. That's immature, and it's not a very good sign of where I was at as a shooter. I just kept doing things differently. And if you take a look at a serious shooter and people who know better, people like the makers of these products from Short Action Precision, they know that you need one place to keep your magazines, or at least two places that you can always go to. And I'm going to show you both of them here today. So this is a magazine holder from Short Action Precision. This one is like a piece of fabric, elastic fabric that velcros, and I kind of glued it to my rail here. This isn't going to work for everyone, but it's a good option. I highly encourage you to check this out. Go over to Anarchy Outdoors to see kind of what they have over there. And then this right here is the SAP 457 magazine holder, and you're going to get two magazines in this. I can put a 5-round in there. It's a little finicky. I would have to tighten up one of the pouches to do a 5-round consistently, but it definitely fits the 10-rounders in there the best. And now when I go to do a magazine exchange, this is my place. It's either this one right here, so old one goes out, new one goes in, and then I can replace it here. Or if I'm in between stages, I can make a quick change right here, and I'm not fumbling, trying to look through bags and all that, trying to find a magazine, which just ends up costing me time, makes me look like an idiot. And I just feel like this is the way that somebody who's a little bit more serious about shooting is going to do it. You have one place to always go to for your magazines. It's consistent, and it's definitely going to save you time, actually, instead of trying to fit your hand in your pocket and pull that out when you're in the prone. I often don't even have to break my view through the glass. I don't have to break my position to get it because it's so conveniently placed right here or right here. I'm going to go ahead and shoot this target at 50. I do not usually shoot with a Canon during competition, if anybody's getting weirded out about that. I'm aware that generally that throws off my zero enough, and it's not quite as tight. And I am using a barrel from Pete's Pillars, by the way. Been trying this out. I have more videos to come on this Pete's Pillars barrel. It's a 16.5-inch threaded with a Silencer Co. Sparrow on the end. It's just a little nicer for the neighbors when I'm using this one. But here's an example. Back in the day when I would just stuff things in a pocket, I would take a magazine like that, get done with the stage, show empty, you know, and try to find a chamber flag if I could find my chamber flag. And now I've just got a magazine in my back pocket. I've misplaced one of them already. And in the heat of the moment, or you're just stressed out, you're trying to deal with the weather or atmospherics in some sort of way, you just don't know where you put stuff. And if you're kind of clumsy like I am, you might have put it in a bag, you might have put it in a pocket. But now with this, I have one consistent place that I'm always going to, and it's very, very convenient. I'm going to transfer to the pole behind me and throw a few more here at that target. I think I might need to go fix that real quick. So again, every time I place a bag, if I have to shoot off a pole, something like this, I just want to be consistent. I want to have the same placement every time. Hopefully the same process of loading. That's one thing I'm definitely working on, and I know some people will nitpick that in the comments, and you are right. My process of loading is something I'm working on, but at least I have the same place to go to for the magazine every time. My consistency has improved, and it saves me time. Now, as far as balance point goes on this rifle, you'll notice that for this right now, I don't have my, I don't have an Arca weight on here, nor do I have my bipod. I would normally have that with me. I forgot to put it in my bag. Balance matters a lot. I don't want to be fighting the rear of the rifle. So when I put my Arca weight on here from DST Precision, or put on that Atlas or the Super Cal, that's going to level things out quite a bit. And I would say more often than not in a competition, I don't actually need to move my Arca back and forth a lot. I just need the space to either add a weight and or a plate, like a plate, or the bipod and the weight that I use. So I don't tend to move the Arca back a lot, but you could pinch this in with your bipod. That's one thing I've seen people do. They kind of flip their bipod around and pinch it in there. So the nice thing about that is, goes back in position 1, chamber flag goes out, and I'm ready to go. Nice and easy for people to see that I'm empty. And it's nice for me to remember this is exactly where I left it. Take it back out, load it, put it back in, and if I'm in another position which you're going to show prone next, I know exactly where it's going to be. All right, looking down at the prone position here, go all the way home to get my bipod. So in a prone position, it is not hard for me to do all of this just right in my side. And I would say it's easier than the pocket. I mean, for me, it's for sure easier than running it through the pocket. Hopefully you can hear that. I gotta turn my mic off. Usually the mic makes it too quiet to hear the impacts. So it does fit a 1.5 inch belt just fine. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit, come a little closer, and I'll show you some of the design features and why I like it a lot. So here's the front view, and here's the view from the clip side. Start by talking about these right here. So they are generic boxes, but they are fit really well for CZ 457 magazines. And I would say specifically that magazine. I don't think I would try many other mags in here, although it's possible. I kind of wondered if some of the Savage mags would fit in here okay, but I really wouldn't go for it. I'd just stick to the CZ 457 mags myself. And it has a tension right in the middle. So there's your tension screw, and I try not to max those out and squeeze them to death. Sometimes I'll actually just form the kydex a little bit more depending on what I'm putting in there. In this example, I did just tighten it up a touch. On this side, just gave it a little dimple on that end. Typically on any pair of pants and any belt that I've worn that's around that 1.5 inch size belt, the single tab here has been enough, especially because it has, if you can see that right there, a bit of a reverse hook in the design. So it goes on the belt really easily, but it stays on because of that negative angle there, which kind of keeps it secured on your belt. And that gap right there is generous enough that I can move it a little bit without too much trouble on my belt. It's not like it's fixed into one spot permanently. So you have 4 places of retention on the exterior, and they're a good distance away from the magazine, so it's not overly tight straight out of the box. I find that I did need to use this just a touch to snug them up in general. And then with the side that I'm going to usually use for my slightly thinner magazine block, safety, chamber flag, whatever you want to call it, that side I actually tightened up just a touch so that itself it would not come out, because this one's pretty slippery and just a little bit different than a CZ457 mag. So that fixed that issue for me. But the other side, as you can see, I didn't feel the need to press that side. It tightens up just fine with this. The edges of the Kydex are all smooth, rounded well, and I think there is kind of a flared opening here, so it's not hard to find and get your magazines in, even if you're not looking at it. Like I mentioned before, Anarchy Outdoors is the place I go to get these SAP type products and other things for like CZ457s. They have a lot of products for Savage, CZ, Teak. I've seen so many brands, Ruger. I just did a little series with some Ruger parts for the Ruger Precision Magnum. It made my Magnum a better rifle in a lot of ways functionally. And you're gonna find a lot of functional stuff, whether you're a hunter or you're more into the target sports angle. Anarchy Outdoors is the right place to go check that out, and I think their prices are competitive. Their products that they make in-house are actually good quality. This being a SAP product, I think it's already good product and good quality. I love the company, and this has been something to help me, again, be more consistent and probably a little more effective in actual competition. So go ahead and try them out. Prices are really good right now, and it's about competition season for most of us. So head over, check out Anarchy Outdoors, and if YouTube lets me, check out those comments down below.